These are great movies. Catch Me If You Can, Steven Spielberg's movie
Yeah.
with Leo.
Yeah.
Slither.
Put that on my vision board, Pete. I had that on my vision board back in the day.
Is that right?
That script came around, and at the time, there weren't a ton of like movies where you're like, oh, there's so many roles for girls in this movie. All of us young 20-somethings. I'm friends with so many of them, Ellen Pompeo and Amy Adams and Jennifer Garner, and all of these women that got to sort of audition and be a part of that movie. It was really fun. It was like, it was rare to have a movie that had that many sort of fun, juicy little roles and that you get to play with Leo.
Please, answer the question.
What drew me to him? I mean, you've seen the pictures. He was hot.
What was Adam like?
He was very ambitious. Like, if he decided he wanted something, it went on the to-do list, Very type A, very much like my sister. Not like me at all. He was everything that I was not. He was organized, disciplined. He wanted me to be better and thought that I could change, but I was just always going to be what I was.
And what was that?
A drunk. I really tried after Ethan was born. For him, at first I really tried. And it just got harder, and it got worse. The last thing any mom wants is for her kid to get taken away. But then you realize they're better off without you. That was something I had to admit to myself. And I knew Adam wouldn't fail at being a good dad. He cared way too much about what other people thought of him.
Would you describe his relationship with Ethan as a good one?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Welcome to the actor's side, and I should say even more than the actor's side, because she is not just an actor, she's a writer, a producer, a director, a game show host, everything. There's nothing she doesn't do. Welcome, Elizabeth Banks.
Hi, Pete. Oh my goodness. That's a very nice introduction. Thank you.
It's true. This is, I can't keep up with all you
I'm
do.
a multitasker.
It's and right now starring in The Better Sister on Amazon Prime Video with Jessica Biel.
Yes.
And that's a great show. It's a limited series, starts May 29th.
Yes.
Yeah.
May 29th, Prime Video, Better Sister. Jessica and I play sisters. And, it's funny because we have been told for years that we looked alike, which I took as a huge compliment because she's one of the most beautiful people on the planet.
Yeah.
And, but I never really sort of, it didn't. And then when we got together, it was a great sistership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting for me to watch this because my wife and her sister, it so reminds me of them. The totally different, you can't imagine they came from the same family. And
I'm one of four, and I feel like one of the themes that the showrunners, Olivia Milch and Regina Corrado, wanted to explore was this notion that when there is sort of a distance between the sisters, and Jessica and I play maybe like 4 or 5 years apart at most.
Right.
Is that you get different versions of your parents.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
That is
and
interesting.
how, your parents are like they're different people. Like they're still growing and they're going through their own stuff when you're getting raised. And you might be raised a little differently, or you might perceive them a little differently. And Jessica and I in the series see especially our father from 2 totally different vantage points, and it affected me one way, and she sort of skated through it. And also there was some protection by me for her on her behalf, which goes unacknowledged.
But
So that's a little bit of the rift between us,
I
right?
love seeing you play this kind of role.
Thank
She's
you.
this kind of like hot mess who's a very interesting and complicated character. You know,
I really recognized her. I'm from like a small town, and I'm an Irish Catholic. There are a lot of drinkers in my family. This character's a drinker, a big drinker, and she also, I think, she's smart and street smart and could have been more.
Yeah.
And that's what I really was attracted to, the idea of somebody who watched their sister go and have everything.
Exactly right.
And knowing deep down, I could have had more, and it's my own fault that
Yeah.
I don't. And
Right.
I feel like when her sister says, like, your life sucks because of what you've done, it's very true, but it's also like, yeah, I know. Like I've been dealing with this now, and
Yeah.
I did figure that out, thanks. But like my little sister, who I'm estranged from, played by Jessica, we're not connected on that level. Like, she's not telling me anything I don't know.
No.
And that's the big sister in me, right? Like, yeah, I got you figured out. You don't quite have me figured out.
That's it. And of course,
Yeah.
it's very complex and complicated. You're brought together by the murder of her husband,
Yes,
who you
is
had.
my ex-husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the son, who basically is brought up by them, but you've got the maternal instincts because it's your son.
Yeah.
It gets complicated.
It's it's a complicated family dynamic, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Alfair Burke, who wrote the book that it's based on, she was a prosecutor for years. She's a lawyer.
Yeah.
And she would come across these like crazy family cases, right? And you write these things and it all feels stranger than fiction, even though we all realize now, like, the world is complex. God knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But this is dragged right out of like Jerry Springer. Do you know what I mean?
Completely.
Like, who are these people where like two sisters marry the same guy? Like,
Yeah.
what? You know what I mean? And it's like, it happens. Like, Alfair had seen a similar dynamic in cases. And so she pulled directly from her own experience when she was sort of coming up with like, what were the notions that could be explored?
Yeah, it is so interesting to see the two of you play opposite each other. And the director, at least for a couple of them, was Craig Gillespie.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about Craig Gillespie watching this too, because he did I, Tonya.
He did.
And there's a bit of I, Tonya in this.
He was the one who called and said, I want to see you messy with like
That's it.
ripped up nails and ratty hair. And
Yep.
he's like, I want to mess you up. And and he wanted more humor, right? He
Yeah.
wanted somebody who he could trust to sort of be wild, but intelligent.
Right.
Like there's a wildness to her, but there's a deep intelligence to her as well. And like some emotional intelligence, because she's been through some shit.
Oh, God.
Okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry, I'm saying the S word.
Oh, that's okay. You can
Oh,
say
good.
anything here.
Oh, wow. Well, now we'll see where it goes.
We're
maybe.
good. Yeah, no, that's good. Had you read the book before you got involved in this?
I did not read it
No.
until the offer came across the desk, and I thought, well, I better read this book and see what this is all about. To be honest, because I had an outline and I had the first episode,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know where it all went.
Oh.
And I actually, once I read the book, I did know where it all went. And I mean, of course, I needed that information. But it sort of was a bummer to not like, sometimes you get scripts and you're like, oh my God, this was happening.
Yeah.
I'm working on something right now where we just got like the final script and it's like, oh, we're doing that at the end.
And
you know what I
didn't
mean?
know?
No, I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I sort of had an idea of where it was headed, but the way it all came together was surprising as an actor, and it's just a little fun.
I always wonder about that because there are certain directors. Woody Allen was famous for that, just handing you your pages and things like
Yeah.
that. Richard Brooks, the great Richard Brooks, always did that with his actors and things. And I wonder if that's a hindrance because you want that backstory. You want to know.
I want to know everything in the past, but do
Yeah.
I need to know what's coming in the future? I
Oh.
think that's the question, right?
Okay.
It's like, I feel like I do want to know. I want the backstory. I
Right.
want to know where this all came from, who this person is.
Uh-huh.
But then at the end of the day, we have to just play the imaginary circumstances right in front of our face. We have to live in the moment.
Right.
And I do think there are some strategies to do that. And sometimes one of them is like not really knowing what's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
That being said, you should know your lines and like prepare. You know what I mean? I want, as an actor, I like to prepare. I really just meant I knew long before we started shooting where it was all going, right? Because you get this, you get involved, and then it doesn't shoot for months and months later. So right now I'm working on something. I'm still a few months out from shooting that final episode, and now I just found out what happens.
Is it another limited series or?
It's a series for Peacock called The Miniature Wife with me and Matthew McFadden.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It is
Do you
fun.
like doing these kinds of things on the streaming services now?
It's kind of new for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
I had a great film career, and I was directing, and I was sort of happy doing all that. And then I just came across some great characters, some like fun scenarios that I thought that will be, I can be enriched by that experience. I do love acting. I do want to do that still.
Yeah, and you're doing a lot of it now, but I
Yeah.
mean the streamers are providing
Absolutely.
these things.
And
maybe
I'm
studios wouldn't do it.
grateful for the work, especially for women my age,
Yeah.
It's like once you're not an ingenue in the film business, it's a little harder. There's less to do. The data supports that. I'm not like coming up with something. The data will tell you there are fewer roles for women over 40 in film.
Yeah.
And TV's picked up a lot of slack. Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of streamers, Apple, they made me actually go to Apple and see it on a screen. So, but most people saw the Beanie Bubble on television.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Thank
it's
you.
a Ty Warner. It's also a true
yeah.
kind of story here, but
the backstory of the Beanie Babies.
of the Beanie Babies.
Yeah,
And
the rise and the fall of the Beanie Babies.
Oh, and you were great, and all
Thank
of you
you.
were.
Yeah, Sarah Snook and Geraldine Viswanathan.
Yeah, and just amazing.
Yeah, Apple. It's still around. You can go see it right now on Apple.
Well, that's the thing about this. Once Paul Schrader once told me, I'm not going to do that because 2 weeks and then it's in the larder, as he called it. You got to remember that all this stuff is available constantly.
A lot of it is available, and also interestingly, things I've done so long ago. Like you're bringing up something that's a couple years old. I go places now, and like new generations are finding, like for instance, Modern Family. Or 30 Rock, or Pitch Perfect, or The Hunger Games, and you're like,
oh my God, well, yeah,
right? Like you think you kind of leave these things and you sort of go forth, and now it's like a whole new generation gets to experiencing them, and it's really fun. It's fun to feel like, wow, they don't all have to be like total classics. Those are real bangers, what I just mentioned. But I will say, just knowing that young people get to still see us, it's really fun.
Well, you don't have to introduce young people to the Hunger Games. I mean, you did 4 of them.
Yeah.
And, that was a great Effie that you played in that. And you did Spider-Man. You did like 3.
I did 3 Spider-Mans. The first,
you don't have to introduce
Sam
them to that.
Raimi Spider-Man. Yeah, I know. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, yeah.
Yeah, no, you've done a lot of these kind of iconic big blockbuster kind of things. But then, now that you're mentioning all these movies, I think they live on. Love and Mercy, I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And that's the Brian Wilson.
Yeah, the story of Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys. It's an iconic movie, and I loved how the story was told with the past and the future. Brian's sort of meeting.
Yeah.
My character, Melinda Ledbetter, she was Brian's sort of savior and wife forever. The only, the woman who really saved him, and she passed recently, and I really loved her as a human being. Yeah.
God, no, I love that movie. Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman,
directed
incredible filmmaker. Yeah, I wish
Yeah.
he would do more. Do more, Bill.
I hope so. Yeah, and you played Laura Bush in W.
I did.
That was fun.
That was fun. For Oliver Stone, who I really loved working with. Just an iconic filmmaker.
Yeah.
A patriot. He loves America. He loves this country. He makes things that I think really challenge notions of America from a place of deep love for country.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
No question. You've worked with, I love 40-Year-Old Virgin. Oh my God. These are great movies. Catch Me If You Can, Steven Spielberg's movie
Yeah.
with Leo.
Yeah. Put that
Slither.
on my vision board, Pete. I had that
Yeah.
on my vision board back in the day.
Is that right?
That script came around, and at the time, there weren't a ton of like movies where you're like, oh, there's so many roles for girls in this
Yeah.
movie. All of us young 20-somethings.
Yeah.
I'm friends with so many of them, Ellen Pompeo and Amy Adams and Jennifer Garner, and all of these women that got to sort of audition and be a part of that movie. It was really fun. It was like it was rare to have a movie that had that many sort of fun, juicy little roles, and that you get to play with Leo.
It's like, yeah, I mean, these all these live on, Invincible.
Yeah.
You actually won the Best Kiss MTV award with Mark Wahlberg.
I stand by it. You should go watch that kiss again. It's a great one. It's a really good one.
Is that, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, you mentioned so many of them. The Lego movie, Wild Style, we know you.
Yes, I voice Wild Style in the Lego movie, and actually I get most recognized for my voice.
Is that
so
right?
if I'm walking around, I don't usually get recognized just like myself, but if I talk, if some people hear me, they know it's me, and a lot of that's from Wild Style.
I knew that immediately when I saw Migration. Not knowing anything about Migration, I'm in this secret fight club of critics where they just want opinions, but they don't tell you what you're seeing. You sign it. I actually saw that in that, and I listened to it and I said, I immediately knew.
Yeah, that's Elizabeth.
I
Yeah.
love that movie too.
Such
The Family
a
of Ducks.
Sweet movie. I know. We worked on it for so long, for so hard.
Oh,
because we had the pandemic, and then we had the strike, and so
God.
and we were making it that whole time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope they do another one.
I know. Well, Illumination makes beautiful movie. Chris Meledandri, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, yeah. He told me at a CinemaCon before that came out, before I'd heard of it. He said where they previewed it at CinemaCon, and he said, I've got to keep making movies like this. I can't just keep doing, the same thing.
Yeah, they really, I think they bring a lot of like pride when you can sort of be sweet like that, and a family movie and a movie that people just laugh, relate, like they're so effervescent.
Yeah. And you're finding a lot of work in indie movies lately, because I've seen them all. Skincare, I have. I think I've reviewed them all, but Skincare, A Mistake.
Yes.
Skincare was not a mistake. The other movies.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
She made a movie called A Mistake.
Yeah.
And Call Jane, which was terrific.
Yeah, Call Jane is how prescient. I mean, it really was about this moment in time. That movie Called Jane is it's about a woman whose life is in danger if she doesn't have an abortion before abortion is legal in America.
Right.
And she goes to this underground organization that called themselves Jane, in the film is run by Sigourney Weaver, and to get this abortion that saves her life. And at the time that we made the movie, we of course were all concerned with the direction the country was heading on Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
But we did not, we were hopeful. And we thought, well, this movie will really speak to people about this issue. And I hear about it all the time from people that have seen it, that know about it, that talk about it, that show it to their church groups, which I recommend, that show it to other, because there are women really who need abortion as healthcare that saves their lives, and they cannot get it under these bans. It is a total lie if they tell you otherwise. Wow. These bans mean that these women are near death and losing their wanted babies.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
When I saw that, and it's just getting worse. It's not getting better.
No, it's not. It's not, and it's shocking because people ask me like how I could do something that's quote controversial, and I always remind people that abortion rights in America is not controversial.
No.
The majority of Americans want abortion as accessible health care.
Yeah.
And Roe v. Wade always outlined limits on abortion.
Yeah, yeah.
And people were very happy with those limits. And it was being chipped away at and chipped away at and chipped away at. And it was, restored time and time again until the Supreme Court changed. And it is really interesting. A very small majority of Supreme Court justices basically allowed for this to happen to women in America, and it's no good.
We see this in different decades and things. You were also in Mrs. America.
I was.
With Kate Blanchett and all those great women.
Yes.
You played Jill Ruckelshaus
Yes,
and things.
Jill
And that
Ruckelshaus.
was, against the voice of this one woman who was trying to
Yeah.
set us back 50 years.
That's right.
And so that put that warning out there too, but
It did. I mean, she was, it's the rise of the Christian right, and which is a political tool. I think people love to think of it as some moral standard.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, the Christian right is a political tool. It's a tool of oppression. It's a tool of control. It's not, anytime you are forcing faith, it's never about the faith, it's about the control.
Right.
And Phyllis Schlafly was the name of the woman who thought that she was making a deal with the Reagan administration to sort of, promote herself and promote her own power. And she ended up taking down the women's rights movement, to be honest.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
In addition to all of your acting, which is really goes on, you've got quite the resume. You are a director of blockbuster kinds of movies.
I do tend to make studio fare.
You do.
I
I
like
find
it.
that interesting. Cocaine
Bear.
Bear,
Yeah.
which we're waiting for the sequel there. It can be it can be Cocaine Cocker Spaniel. I don't care.
You think? You will come out for anything? I don't know if we can beat the bear, to be honest.
Yeah, well, the bear
it
was
really
pretty...
was a complete thought, you know?
Yeah.
And also ripped from the headlines, true story.
Yeah.
And there are, of course, other true stories of animals ingesting cocaine. It is happening in nature because, and it is, I've always thought is a great parable for humanity sort of poisoning nature, right? And nature will turn on us eventually.
Yeah.
So there always was sort of that like deeper message in the movie.
It definitely. It's a very entertaining movie
Thank
too.
you.
I had a really good time with that.
It's good. Yeah.
And you did obviously Pitch Perfect,
Yeah.
and you directed the second one.
I did.
Produced all three of them, and that was a very successful franchise. Of course, Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. I like to say I tend to make the same movie every time. I love to make a comedy with multiple points of view and a lot of women with agency, and I stuck that in a musical, and then I stuck it in an action movie, and then I stuck it in a horror movie.
Oh my God.
But really, that's what I actually might only be a one-trick pony.
No. But I have to say,
Funny and fun.
I looked up your awards, and you had won the 2013 Razzie for Worst Director for Movie 43, which I haven't seen.
Oh, Movie 43. That's I don't know why I would win that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but then they gave you the Razzie Redeemer for the most improved. They actually did that and gave you the Redeemer Award.
Let me tell you, all press is good press. Okay, I'll take it.
Is it?
The
Okay.
Razzies wanna mention me? Hey,
Sandra Bullock showed up to accept it.
I know, I love that. The same year she got an Oscar. So they can't all be winners, guys. They can't all be winners. But Movie 43 was that was multiple directors. It was the movie that the Farrelly brothers put together.
They're being very unfair.
And and actually my segment of that movie, which is called Middle School Date, stars Chloe Moretz, was the highest rated section of that movie, just to say.
See.
So the movie overall does not quite work, but my section of the movie I'm
by the way,
very proud of.
Pete Farrelly went on to win Oscars for Green Book.
He did as well.
And,
so
screw the Razzies.
We got to keep it interesting. Got to keep people on their toes.
You keep it interesting because I genuinely, every time I've seen you, I say Press Your Luck. I love Press Your Luck.
You do.
I'm addicted to Press Your Luck. In fact, I'm so addicted. It's on Hulu, but they've only got the first 3 seasons.
I know.
What happened?
They're going to start streaming. It's because don't have the full season out of this next season yet, so they have not streaming it yet. But it will. They will have it all. They will have it all.
Oh my God.
It builds a lot of audience for us, the streaming of it, and people love it, and people have like favorite contestants that could come up to me.
Oh, some of them have been. And you sit there, the suspense level.
Pete, you have no idea. We are backstage, and I have the ear thing, and I'm going, are they really gonna spin again? This is crazy. Like we're freaking out. We're like, is this good TV? Are they gonna lose? I don't want anyone to lose.
No, you're so good at this.
I really don't want anyone to lose.
You rev them up
it hurts
when they
my
all go
soul.
bankrupt with all of that, and then you go.
I gotta build them back up.
You can still do it.
But also, I do have to remind the ones that do sort of lose. Like they came there that day with nothing. They were on TV. They're gonna go home. They're gonna have all their family over for a barbecue.
Yeah.
They're gonna watch their episode. They're gonna win the first half. They all go home with something from the first part of the game, right? So everybody is a winner when they get there to the end. But I really want $1 million winner, and maybe we're gonna get one this summer.
Oh,
back
I
July
can't
10th.
wait. Is that really? Okay, I was
July
going
10th, we're back on the
All
air.
right. Have you seen the movie about the first?
I have not seen that
You've
movie,
got
but
to see
I've
it. Paul Walter Hauser's
he's
great.
incredible.
Yeah.
He's an incredible actor, and it's a
Yeah.
really incredible story. Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Amazing story about how he figured out the
He
method
figured out
and
the algorithm, basically.
the algorithm.
Yeah, the early
all
algorithm.
those years ago.
Yeah, we're done
Amazing.
away with that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
The show is called The Better Sister. It starts May 29th. We just heard Pressure Luck is coming back in July. I'm so excited. And you're clearly, I didn't even get into all these projects you've got going, but it's a lot. Just check out IMDb. This is Elizabeth Banks. Thank you for joining us on The Actor's Side.
Thanks. Thank you.